still wanting to help people, be that in support, be that as a lead, or be that through finding the right AI applications. Into that, we'll be about 10 minutes, and then I'll do a Q&A afterwards, so please save your questions for then. So first up, yes.
No. No.
How many of you use AI every day? What you need in connecting search results. It's in the recommendations that you're being offered on your websites. It's in translations. It's everywhere. Which badly, and that's why we're going to talk about it in job applications today. So we're going to start by talking about pitfalls, and then we'll jump into solutions. So first off, can you all see on that side?
Yeah.
Perfect. First problem is that AI creates identical profiles. So the problem is that when you give AI a question, like an application question, and you submit your answer, to you it looks correct. It doesn't show us what you blend into the crowd instead of standing out. And you want to stand out because then we know who you are. The next one is that the application sounds nothing like you. So instead of just a generic answer, it also doesn't tell us about you. So the first problem here is that the tone can differ. So for example, we had some open questions that were like, hey, tell us about this time that you handled this difficult situation. And then we had a section that was like, tell us how you troubleshooted this tricky WordPress problem. Tell us how you go about it. The tone in the first section would be exactly beautiful ChatGPT. And the second part would be down-to-earth bullet points, here's what I did and why. And you can tell that it was written by two completely different voices. The problem with that is it tells us that only one of those is actually you. And now we can make our guesses as to which ones, but it breaks trust. We don't know, it means that we don't know which one's you, which one to trust, and who you are. The second part of it is just the difference in tone, that you can switch between formal, informal, conversational, casual. That's okay. Stick with one. So that's important. Let's see. So the whole point here is when you let AI talk for you, you sound like AI and not you. Ah yes, one of my favorites. Attempting to hustle outside of established procedures. So I've been in India for a month. There are so many people here. I understand why you need to hustle to stand out. The problem is that when you do that, when you, for example, start jumping outside the system because that will get you more attention, or when you use AI because you're doing so many applications that you want the volume there, you're actually making your application look worse. So for example, we had someone that we actually interviewed. Didn't interview very well, fair enough, that happens, and we declined them. And what they then did was they emailed the hiring team, all of the hiring people that they talked to, found us on LinkedIn, and said, look, I really want to work for you. I will work for 3 months for free. Now, great hustle, but the problem is that at a company like Automattic, we see thousands of applications. What they're actually doing is costing the hiring team a lot of extra work. There's this one person that isn't sticking to the procedures. And it looks like they don't understand our business norms, which means that we wouldn't trust them as a colleague. So what happens is when you jump outside of these systems, you make yourself feel less trustworthy, less like you will fit in. So that's an important thing to be aware of, because of course you want to stand out, but stand out in the good ways. I have one more point that I wanted to make. Right, this is true for Automattic. We are a company of 2,000 people at this point, and we get thousands of applications. This may not be true for example, a small startup, where they do value this hustle culture. So my best tip here is do your research. Make sure that you know what the business norms and the expectations are for the company that you're applying to. Okay, that is our first set of pitfalls. What we're going to do from here is jump into some solutions so we can turn this the other way. First up, going to use AI versus your authentic voice. What did I say here? Right, so you want to use your voice for personal experiences. Use examples. Figure out what it is that you actually want to add for value. How do you want to stand out? What's important? What do you bring to this job? Most hiring people don't want to see a generic CV or a generic application. We want to know what you bring because that's the person that we want to hire. So be aware of that. Use AI as a tool. Use it to set a tone document or say, here's a standard, here's a couple of pieces that I've recently written. How can I summarize this as a tone? And then what you can do with that is you can say, hey, ChatGPT or Claude or whatever you're working with, rewrite this in my voice. It won't be perfect, but it will sound a whole lot less like ChatGPT and a whole lot more like you. Use AI when you're facing writer's block. You're not sure how to start. Give it a couple of bullet points and say, generate something. When you want to know how to make things better. I totally wrote this presentation in Claude and said, what am I missing? What can I do to make it better? These two sections overlap. How can I make them better? So the idea was mine, the tone is mine, but I used AI to help me write it and make it better. So use your authentic voice. Make sure that who you are is showing through. For example, getting the tone and having the real ideas from you come through, but use AI as a tool, editing ideas, etc. Then we get full draft. That's really annoying. I just combined two slides into one. I'm sorry. So I actually just told you all about modifying AI to sound like you as well. So the whole point here is make a tone file, or set some standard pieces that you can feed to AI to say, here's what my AI makes really silly mistakes that look really obvious. One of my favorite ones was we had a question, and it was, hey, answer this question as if you were answering a customer, and we would expect them to use like links to our documentation. And I was reading it, and I'm like, these are really nice looking links. We did a really good job on the permalinks on these. They look perfect. And I said, wait a sec, I know that AI hallucinates. Let's double check. All of those beautiful links that it had created were completely fake and didn't go anywhere. So that person, unfortunately, meant that they used AI, and they didn't use AI well because they didn't quality check it. AI hallucinates, AI gets things wrong. So double check that. Make sure I read my notes so I don't jump ahead. So demonstrate attention to detail, everything in every interaction, and show us why we should hire you. That knowledge of what you're bringing in, that tone, that experience, make sure that that shows through. Okay, so the final message here is AI should amplify your voice. It should not be your voice. Let your personality, your experience, your enthusiasm, your skills shine through. Yes, it's a skill. Yes, it takes practice. But AI can't do it for you. You need to use it as a tool to help you out. So, that brings us to questions. I wrote a mini FAQ, but it's probably not visible here. It's basically, where can I find you online? Can we connect on LinkedIn? Yes. And I'd like to talk more. And why are you in Kochi? That answer doesn't fit in the FAQ. So that's basically what I had to say. What questions do you have for me? Do we want some links? Sorry, that was not an FAQ. Yes. What questions do you have? And how many people are recording me? Hello.
It's okay.
So you are creating a custom solution for this problem for internal purpose, or because a lot of other solutions are there over the other, some kind of the solutions, or SaaS platforms are offering this kind of solution. So why we need to create a custom solution in that case?
So a custom solution for applying to jobs?
Yeah, for not applying the jobs, maybe kind of ATS system.
I think he's asking about filtering out AI applications,
So
whether
we have
Automattic or
some
something like that. Yeah.
I know that they've moved some in since I've switched roles. When I left though, we had a human looking at every single one of the applications. I think we've now started adding a scoring system. And that's not like how many times does this word come up, but how well does this application answer these questions. So this is where AI is getting better for us. But I don't know exactly what we built. I don't have any information on it. I'm sorry.
I have a question. So
Yes.
when someone applies for a job, like obviously they use all these AI tools, and you've given some great instructions on how not to use it. So
Yeah.
for anybody who's applying, in addition to using AI to their extent, how can they be more authentic? How can they stand out? Because like this is a tool. I mean, as a recruiter who's been on the other side, do you have any tips? I mean, you've of course like shared a lot of ideas, but as an individual who wants to apply this super competitive thing where everybody's using AI,
Yeah.
like what tips do you have?
So the biggest tips are get your tone right. Make sure that if you're using AI for part of it, align those tones across the different bits, because that will give you more trustworthiness. If you can tell that there's two different tones, it gets very confusing. And then make it sound like you. That doesn't mean write in the most rough slang that you can possibly think of. And it doesn't. And please also note that when the application is in one language, usually that means send it in. So for this group, if you were to send it in Malayalam, that would not work because we'd assume that you can't follow directions. But find ways to make it sound like you. That you take pieces that you've written before, that you find ways to polish those, just like a spell check is an important part of this. Running it through an AI or something like Grammarly or language tools is becoming an important way to set that level of quality. Does that kind of answer your question? Is that the direction you were looking for?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
You had a question, right? Yeah.
Will AI replace the support engineers roles? And
He's
I
a support
love that
engineer for
question.
context.
Fantastic. I love that question. In some places, I think some companies will try it, and I think that in many cases they will deeply regret it, because I don't think that they have the infrastructure in place to make the support high enough quality. So there are so many things that go into AI doing good support. And one of the things that I hear from our happiness engineers, because we have our support engineers review the AI for quality, is they go, well, I think this answer is bad because our bot didn't answer this very well. And I go, well, it can't. It just genuinely can't do the things that you do. And their answer is, okay, so AI is not coming for my job. So I think the difference there is it could, for some places, if they're willing to accept lower quality, places that offer high quality support, AI is not coming for your jobs. Just like for developers. AI can write really good code these days. That doesn't mean that it can replace a good developer. AI can only do what it's told. It doesn't bring that creativity. It doesn't understand code is poetry. And I know that we don't get points and extra salary for how poetic the code is, but it's an important part of what we bring to the job. That was a really big answer.
Yeah.
Does that cover what you were
Yeah.
looking for? Fantastic. Feel free to let me know if you have more questions on that topic.
I know another, actually, I
Yes.
just would like to know your point of view about, because nowadays when we conduct interviews, the candidates are attending interviews or tracking interviews, actually they are keeping another system in front of them and using ChatGPT and they are answering that. So,
Oh gosh.
because
Yes.
actually we had a debate here, so the thing was, because in either way, so they use AI very well.
Yeah.
But in another way, they are cheating. So, what's your point of view?
This is a tricky one. And I will admit that I am going to be careful because I can't give away too much of exactly what we look for in our interview process, especially since I'm being recorded, which means that this is not secret. This comes back to research. What is it that your company, that you're applying to, values? For Automattic, communication is one of the most important things. because we're asynchronous, because we're spread all over the world, we value communication as one of our top skills. And that's why our interviews now have 2 parts, that we now do a short video section of like 15 minutes, just because we want to see how people actually respond on camera. It's okay if your English isn't that good. It's about how you answer the questions, how you show up, what attention to detail have you put on. We're not, like, for a company, we're not expecting you to show up in a full suit and tie, but we're expecting that you understand what our values are and what's important. So that comes back to research. And then to tie into your question about, well, can they just have a second window and use AI? I mean, it depends on how they're doing it. If they have really good answers and they can keep up with a flow of conversation, fair enough. I mean, I use Grammarly in Slack. Does that mean that I'm wrong for using AI? No, it just means I look more professional because I have fewer typos. Do people use AI, like, as part of their communication?
Oh yeah, of course. Like we all do. I mean, at least I do personally, and I think like most people sitting in this room, we all use it. But in my case personally, what I try to do is, like you said, very much like you said, I prefer using my own tone. So I write myself first, and then I use AI to sort of make some changes or like make some additions and things like that. That's what I like using AI for, because like what I've personally noticed is when I generate something using AI, like it seems dead. I love the English language. I love writing. I've been blogging since, I don't know, like 2007-ish. So I enjoy writing as a hobby. But for me, like what it generates, like, I know, I mean, like when I see a text, I know it's GPT generated. I'm at that point. Like I don't even need, I am an AI checker. I'm a human AI checker. Like I know it. I just know it when I see it. Like
I know that because multiple times when people apply for the webcam speaker,
exactly.
that.
Yeah, we did this. Like we were,
It's the same exact concept of applying as a WordPress speaker and applying for a job. Yes, the stakes aren't as high.
Yeah.
This is all valid. Because as a WordPress speaker, you want someone who is going to be able to hold attention, is going to research well, is going to communicate well as things shift or as they run into problems. It's not that different. Do you interview people for WordPress speakers, or do you just take applications?
No, I just.
So what we do is like, I mean, we've actually, Jose, Jagdeep and I, we've all been in the speaker team for at least a couple of WordCamps. So we have more of a blind application process. We review the applications. Like since we don't have a ton of time, we evaluate that and like we look at the past speaking spins and all that. We don't do interviews, but like we look at but if it's an AI generated application, it's almost a no-no. Like we know it, we see, like these days we have tools, but again, in some cases it's so obvious. Yeah. So yeah.
Cool, great side example. Thank you for adding that, because like I said, I'm talking from the Automattic perspective. That's only one, but a lot of what I'm saying is applicable to this as well. Great question, thank you. Sorry, we got off on a long track. Did that answer what you were asking?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Good, actually, good insights.
Any more questions?
So which AI tools would you recommend? I mean, we all know ChatGPT. I think this room, we all use ChatGPT. I think I'm pretty sure.
Everybody uses ChatGPT.
Yeah, okay. I mean, like, yeah, but yeah, I think it's the most popular tool. I mean, at least in my network, folks that I know. I mean, like, I know Jagdeep, Jose, and I, we three use ChatGPT too. But yeah, others, what would you recommend?
I see that we have different AI tools for different situations. AI is becoming so baked into our lives that it's ending up at different things. I'll use Perplexity AI, the search engine, for deeper research. I use Kochi, which is an alternative to Google.
What is it? Kochi?
K-A-G-I.
K-A-G-I.
It is
okay.
paid. There's a month free. And it's focused on good search results and not whatever Google thinks belongs at the top. And there's a question, you can add a question mark for a quick answer that is actually supplied by Claude with support from the Kochi search results. So like when I wanted to know what's the average temperature in Kochi in February, question mark, it spits out an answer for me. I mean, I could go read a Wikipedia article, but why would you do that when I will just tell you? I mostly use Kochi. I sometimes use Perplexity AI. My tool of choice is Claude right now. Because it's not as quickly developed as ChatGPT. I do look at ChatGPT and go, I'd like to play with that. And I do. But my tool of choice is Claude because of the way Anthropic is prioritizing ethics. I feel like ChatGPT is doing too much around how can we develop at the cost of everything else. And I'm actually still convinced Skynet is going to turn up in 10 years, and those who have been nice to AI will be the ones that survive. I'm joking to some degree, but I think I think this is a turning point for humanity. How we handle AI is going to be just as big as the internet. So thinking about the ethics, thinking about how we can do this right, thinking about bias in how large language models are trained, these are all important things that I don't do on a day-by-day basis, so instead I choose the large language model and the system of Claude that I think is a better fit. I was going to say, I've looked at DeepSeek. I don't trust it because of the security challenges and the privacy challenges. I'm big on open source, which DeepSeek is, but also privacy. I think that's a really important thing. And by everybody piling on DeepSeek, we're saying that it's okay that everything is being sent to the Chinese government. I don't think they're looking at everybody's results, but it's the principle of it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's okay, which means I'm not planning on using it. I've been looking at ways to automate my Obsidian library. So I use Obsidian for markdown notes to track everything. I haven't found a good tool for it yet. I was playing with Cursor and a couple of things over the weekend, but nothing really worked. So, short answer, Claude. Long answer, keep testing all the cool things because it's going very quickly.
Yeah. I think we maybe open up that question to everybody. Like, which AI tools do you use? Anyone? Cloud. Yeah.
Claude, awesome.
Namit, I know you use AI tools. Like, do you have any preferences? Sorry? Copilot.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, tell us Copilot. I know like he's a seasoned developer, so
Why Copilot?
yeah.
I actually reviewed it recently. Now I just copy and paste instead of having it in daily because I get confused what things are it's going to change. So I prefer going to ChatGPT, typing that instead of copying. But with Copilot, it completes the classes, does the basics without us having to lift a finger. So just start the braces and it completes the.
Do you use the VS Code extension?
Yeah.
Okay, good. He's on VS Code.
VS Code.
Yeah. Jose, I know you use Claude. How's it? No, you've done some work using it, no? No. Okay.
I only use ChatGPT.
Okay. How about you, Sulik? Sorry. Go on.
DeepSeek.
DeepSeek. Oh,
DeepSeek.
okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about DeepSeek. Like, how's the experience been?
It's for deep thinking.
Okay. Oh, you use the thinking model. Like, what all do you use it to think? Oh, I see. So, is it better than ChatGPT? Do you think?
Actually, bored about ChatGPT.
Oh, so you say you're bored with ChatGPT, and this seems to be generating better.
Fair.
Yeah, I've seen that the DeepSeek, writes better poems. Yeah, literary content. It's DeepSeek seems to be slightly better than. Yeah.
Decide what works for you.
Yeah.
I've explained why I've made the choices I do.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to make their own choices there.
Yeah.
Is anyone using Gemini?
Yeah, when I am not getting good result, or maybe there's a confusion, then I'll just go to copy paste the same.
That reminds me, you use Notebook, right? You've used Notebook. I remember, like you created a podcast. Yeah.
Oh wow, you actually created the podcast.
Yeah.
No.
So like this was during WordCamp Kerala. Like he was doing some experiments. So he fed some content. It actually generated some literally a podcast content. It was very professional. Did not sound AI generated at all. Right. Yeah. You folks were saying something about look. How do you use?
I
Yeah.
used Gemini for a couple of months, but it will not give me complete code. When I put those code into it, and it will not give the complete code as an answer, it will give partial code.
Yeah.
And then I will switch into cloud, and now I am using Cursor now.
Okay. Cursor. Tell us about Cursor. How has it been?
Yeah, like we
Yeah.
have shortcut in it.
Yeah.
When we select those code, and I think the shortcut is Control K.
Control K. Okay.
Yeah. then we can count all those things like fix that code, then it will fix it.
Okay.
That is more easier than putting all those code into a browser like an AI tool like Cloud and all.
Yeah.
It is all those things we can done in that ID only.
Okay. So you're using it and using an extension, let's say VS Code.
No, it's not an extension.
Oh, you're using the
like
app itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. You're using the free version of Cursor. You folks said you're using Claude. Can you tell us about how you've been using Claude?
Actually, was ChatGPT.
ChatGPT. Okay.
If anything you want to find difference in that, you just put into a cloud.
Okay.
We're running into the interesting situation where ChatGPT is becoming synonymous with AI, which is a shame because there are so many other tools out there.
Yeah. I think one takeaway for all of us is keep exploring AI tools.
Yes.
You're saying something?
Test things, take the
I
same
was
query
searching
and
for
try
an
it.
AI tool that is free for us
Yeah.
for to use. Then the cloud is limited.
Does your company, can you expense it?
I don't think so.
Okay. Like Automattic has said, we want you to use AI. Go expense whatever you need to increase your productivity. So I can see how that can go both ways. If you tell your boss, please let me expense AI so that I can be better, that could go badly. But know your organization, it could go well. Because you really can get a lot of value out of these things.
We actually used notebook to create a product presentation.
Nice.
Fantastic.
And the output was unbelievable. When I first heard it,
Uh-huh.
I didn't believe it was a generator because the conversation was having emotions, jokes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I think when Casey generated the same thing, the podcast, it was so real, exactly like this.
I
Right.
gave it our specs
Uh-huh.
and the link to our website,
Uh-huh.
and I made a few changes.
Uh-huh.
Then the output was two people
Uh-huh.
talking about it like
Wow.
a talk show
Wow.
with all kinds of
Yeah.
emotions,
Yeah.
excitement. and
Yeah.
everything.
I'm
Do
going to
you-
give it this presentation and say, please write me a blog post.
yeah. Do you want to talk about your experience with Notebook, Casey?
Yeah, notebook actually, like we said, I think we did some experiment for the WordCamp and also for another few other events. So, whenever some events, actually we do create some videos. So actually for that video, we use this podcast. So the things are there and it's happening. Actually, people are talking about what all in that event. Maybe Harry is going to talk about WordCamp, so on, so on, so on.
Right.
All these kind of things. It's a good promotional activity. People will actually, we will get some hook. We can just create some hook and people just, it's just crossed over.
Yeah.
Has anyone tried image generation, like Midjourney,
Yeah.
Dolly?
Yes.
So cool.
Actually, we did lot of stuff with image generation, and for our clients also. So actually, since we are into the e-commerce things, so we need to create the people wearing dress and kind of all these things we created. And actually now I have a challenge. Maybe someone can help in that. Actually, my sister-in-law asked me to generate a picture of assembly. Actually, it's a Rukmini Swayamvaram. It's a typical cultural art of a mural art. So I want to create that as a gift to her.
Oh,
But
nice.
actually, I failed in that.
Have you tried Midjourney?
Yeah, I tried Midjourney.
Okay,
But
okay.
actually, it's just we can create something as what we want. Just
Oh.
in normal way. But actually, she want to.
Her face.
Yeah, actually, she want to have her own creativity in it.
Okay.
So what I actually did was I used Midjourney in combination with Claude. So I told Claude, I want to do this, tell me how to do it in Midjourney. And then I would give Claude the output from Midjourney and say, how do I tweak this further? And it would give me the exact settings to change. So that might help you out. So use AI to build AI.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I tried that too.
Okay, did it work?
Yeah. Actually, not exactly, but I need because it's a very complicated prompt actually.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, I think prompting at some point becomes a skill, like
It is.
knowing how to prompt well.
There are courses, free
Yeah.
courses online available for it, which
Yeah.
is great. But also just keep trying. One of the funny things that I'm noticing is people will try and use AI as if it's search. Like we've got the chatbot on our WooCommerce.com and people will go subscriptions. which is one of our big plugins. And the problem is it doesn't work. So people do need to understand the difference between using a search engine, and the more context you can give AI, the better answer you're going to get.
Is anything going to be baked into WooCommerce and WordPress?
Ooh, there are already plugins for WordPress. There's something big happening now. I haven't been following it.
Core, I don't think so.
There was a big plugin. I don't know. If
Like there was a question about this asked. Matt said no. I mean, like, so because like you cannot integrate AI directly into core, right? That is yeah.
Who would pay for it?
Yeah.
Like what API keys would
Yes.
you give it? No, it's
Yeah.
open source. Nobody has that money.
I think what will happen is, I mean, you can have more and more AI plugins.
Yeah.
That will happen, but I think into core at this point, like he clearly answered no. But again, like I mean, you folks working on Aspire Press, maybe you could bring that could be yeah.
No plans
Yeah.
for AI in
Yeah.
WooCommerce Core right now.
WooCommerce.
Again, we would expect to see it in the extensions, like the search extensions, the recommendation extensions,
Yeah.
that kind of direction. But then that's the whole point of the extensible platform. Core is for everyone, and you build what you need.
Yeah.
The power of WordPress.
I think you can also ask WooCommerce or WordPress questions. Anna has been with WooCommerce for 9 years, so any Woo questions?
I've been a lead for many years, but I'm very good at saying I don't know. I can find out.
Yeah.
Actually, WordPress mainly some malware issues. Just like that, install plugins, automatically install some plugins. You can restrict the malwares in WordPress.
Can you, so if I understood that correctly, you want to know, is it possible to restrict installing plugins?
Yeah, like there are malware plugins are there. Like they are automatically getting installed. And,
Oh.
is there any idea or solution for restricting all those things?
I think what he's trying to say is like SQL injection type stuff, which installs malware plugins.
So
How
yes,
to-
they can be automatically installed. You're talking about the automatically required from usually set by the host. There may be a plugin that can do this, but I would more expect it at hosting level. I don't know of a solution that would do it.
Yeah.
Also,
Any
it's kind of counter to the WordPress mentality, though I can understand why you'd want it for like a customer.
Yeah, I think what he's trying to ask is like he's generally talking about security issues in WordPress. Like sometimes sites get hacked, and like that's what you're asking about, right? Like
Mostly the WordPress sites are hacked when we
Yeah.
compare to other sites.
yeah,
So more WordPress sites are hacked than
I-
other sites?
That means if we use other stacks like PHP or main, compared to that, WordPress is less security.
okay.
Yeah, WordPress hardening and WordPress security is its own separate field.
Yeah.
For exactly the reasons that you said. And there are lots of potential holes, especially when you're installing different plugins, different developers, different security standards. There's a lot that can go wrong. I don't have any good tips for you. I'm sorry. I
Actually,
recognize
Anyone?
Yeah, my thing is like, because the reason, because the why you said that, the majority WordPress sites are getting hacked, because that much is the market share.
Yeah,
of
it's so
WordPress.
popular.
I want to
Actually,
say
because
Yeah.
40+% of the world's
Yeah.
all websites are.
You're talking like hundreds of millions of
Because
websites.
when we think about other platforms, maybe they are maybe 1%, 2%. When compared with the percentage of hacking, actually that's the reason maybe.
Yeah.
I think so. I agree.
Also, if you harden the installation, just with the permissions, file permissions and everything, it becomes much less possible.
Yeah.
It mainly happens when there's an upload form and they manage to get an executable file onto your server.
So what are some common things that you can do to harden? Like I mean,
First would be file permissions, folder
Yeah.
permissions. Just make absolutely sure of the WP contents folder. I would make the plugins and themes folder non-writable.
Yeah.
Because once you set it up, you don't need to.
Then you can't install
And
plugins.
that's a really solid way of doing it.
Yeah.
Then it's solved.
Yep,
Yeah.
and then only people with FTP access.
And you can also set up two-factor authentication login. And there's a few other things that you can do.
And we
Right?
can
Yeah.
also the kind of
Sorry?
W
Those-
defense.
Keep updating all. plugins.
Keep updating all your plugins.
Yes, keep your plugins up to date, please, 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 and uninstall plugins that you're not using because they have security holes in them.
Yeah.
But yes, please update your plugins.
Yeah.
And please be careful when you update your plugins because it can break your sites. So,
Would it help to have a security plugin installed in such cases? Asking everybody. Yeah. Sorry, WordFence. Yeah.
but that's also a big one for causing conflicts with our plugins, which brings you different problems.
Sorry?
So you want secure.
You don't use any. Okay. Tell me more. Like I think that's a good perspective to have. Yeah.
Because it basically doesn't do anything.
Okay.
Because that plugin becomes active only once the thing comes into PHP.
Correct. Oh, okay.
So what
Okay.
we have to do is catch it before it hits.
Okay. So
harden-
prevention is better than cure.
Yeah.
Hardening,
So
yes.
if you are
Good.
using Apache, write a good HTSS
Mhm.
to lock everything, and mostly if you set the permissions right, 90% of the issues are resolved.
Yeah.
Maybe we can have a session with him, correct? I think
Yeah.
already have.
Yeah. He's done many sessions for us.
Maybe
Yeah.
not just focusing on this.
Yeah. This would be a good topic. Like hardening security. Yeah. Any more questions?
Is there any option to improve the speed of the website?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Casey, your site is Lighthouse 100.
Yeah. I
So
think
his
our
company site,
website
WordPress,
not
is-
from his, it's like
Yeah.
No. Customer. Yeah, customer. But you can do that, by minifying, or it's a kind of optimization in.
Showing entity metrics.
Yes.
Lighthouse, Google.
But it's possible. Many of the websites are 100.
We should have had Jijo here today. So
Yeah.
we have a person called Jijo. He runs wpspeedmatters.com. He's like a worldwide performance expert. He lives in Thrissur, like 100 kilometers from. He attends our meetups. So he's the expert in this. We'll probably have him. He's done a session on our WordCamp. Namit, like you are the expert. Any tips on optimization?
My philosophy is.
He's talking about optimization. Yeah.
Custom.
Yeah. Okay.
So my philosophy goes that route.
Okay.
So, write things with just the code you need, just the features you need, instead of taking a big thing and using 2 features from that.
Yeah.
That itself will actually few of my sites runs on Google E2 micro instance, which is 2 virtual cores of an atom-like processor
Mhm.
with 1 GB.
Wow.
And one of the instances runs 10 WordPress sites. It's a multi-site, but it has 10 WordPress sites, and it gets about 3K, 4K hits a day.
Mhm.
And it doesn't cost me anything.
I see.
Even with that,
Yeah, it's big,
that's
yeah.
the free test.
Yeah. Oh wow. Nice.
So you can do it. If
And you're still getting like good results in that
yeah,
site.
It's 95%.
Yeah.
Because it's custom. If you put in 15 plugins,
This is it's a good case study.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because people are spending hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I think that's the most common sense. Like use just the things that you need. Remove all bloatware.
Yeah.
Makes sense actually. Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Any more?
a plugin to get a simple function.
Yeah.
Now we have AI, so how do we do this? How do we get the dots at the get rid of the dots at the end of an Excel?
Yeah.
How do we limit this? Don't use a plugin for that. Just put the code in.
Yeah. Good. All right. So any more questions? Okay. I think with that we can wrap up. Thank you so much, Hannah, for this excellent session, and thank you everybody for chiming in. I think this was a very interactive session. So
Thank you for inviting me. It's so wonderful getting to talk to people who use WordPress and WooCommerce and all of these applications every day. So thank you, and thank you for being part of the community. This is what makes WordPress so powerful.
thank you.